They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on Your Shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
Bluebird on the shoulder. It's back again. Another week. Another all three for three. Again, it's very exciting. Very exciting. Huge. So another fun-filled, actually action-packed week, right? Last week thought it was a little slow going into Thursday. They made up for it threefold. So shit, in the last 24 hours, he dropped a couple of bangers. So we have the Ninth Circuit of Appeals telling him, no, you cannot revoke birthright citizenship. Like they said, you cannot do it. It's unconstitutional. It's not a thing. So what we've been talking about where they attack procedure, they're not going to be able to attack procedure here. Right. So now this is going to go to SCOTUS. They're going to appeal it to SCOTUS because it's coming out of the ninth. Yep. And SCOTUS is going to have to make a decision. They're going to have to show me where they really stand.
Yeah, and if they vote with the president, then I mean the whole thing comes unraveled. They're like, without birthright citizenship, there are no rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution for anybody. So
right,
I highly doubt that they will go with this one, which is one of the reasons why I think that even though the administration is pushing, they're not pushing hard and loud. You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, they're appealing it though, and they I mean, they've convinced people of the craziest shit. Like, there's people who firmly believe because 2020 was stolen, he should get a third term. There's people who say because he was intentionally cockmangled or something, he should get a third term.
Because he's orange, it doesn't count.
Yeah,
Did you see? I forget who it was, but there's someone in the House, I believe, that was kind of along these lines, had found inconsistencies in Melania's paperwork, and are now trying to get basically the petition to get her and his kids all deported.
Well, I mean, like they threw Barron into they threw Barron, into question as soon as they started pushing this birthright citizenship stuff, because at that point he would be able to be on that chopping block.
Right.
So yeah, like that. That's something that they've been talking about, and I think that I know what you're talking about, but that's been something that they've been.
I mean, I highly doubt it to get any traction. It's just funny because if they want to go by, the legality of it all, see you later.
Yep.
I mean, 100%, right? Like it's interesting. So the lower courts are still doing their job. So, and then we've had a few courts because they did violate procedure where it can't be a nationwide injunction, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Along quite a few districts have come out and been like, yeah, cool, you can't do that here. So well, if that's how it's going to be, then we'll rule on it. So, you know what I'm saying? So the Democrats did what they needed to do. All I know is that the Trump administration has made Mark Elias fucking filthy rich, dude. So he's easily probably one of the best lawyers I've ever seen in my life, dude. He don't lose, and they're terrified of him. Yeah. And he fights all the high profile cases for us. So because he's a lawyer and education matters. Imagine that. So then we had the almighty pivot. So because we definitely still have the list, and we have the fracturing we were talking about last week. And then magically, when the pressure just wouldn't go away, and his sardonic tweets about my past supporters and you're stupid and all of that that came out on Truth Social about people who were like, no, fuck this dude because he won't release the list after he ran on releasing the list, which he didn't say it as much as everybody always bullshits all the time now, but he didn't say it as much as they want him to, but the people did. Like the two guys in charge of the FBI did, you know what I'm saying? People of that nature, they all did. They all openly were like, we're going to do this and it's going to be the most transparent administration ever. And we're going to release it. And then they had their little walk show where they brought in all the MAGA bobblehead talking influencer social media peoples, which the left social media people are way hotter. So but they had them all in the White House with their little pedo binders and like Pareto pedos, and it's phase one, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like the other half or quarter, well, I don't know the numbers anymore because I don't know how much of it's bots and none of it's real.
Right.
The other section is like, nope, just because you're on the list. So that wasn't working. They're deflect not working. So Tulsi Gabbard magically finds papers that say that before all the investigations happened, they didn't think Russia interfered with the election, and that it was all conspired, and that Obama was like, no, we're not going to believe that. We're going to look deeper into it. And that was treason.
Oh, yeah.
And
it ultimately doesn't matter because SCOTUS did their job according to Trump, and they basically have ultimate immunity. So he has presidential immunity while he was president. He can't do shit.
He wasn't president then. When the collusion with Russia happened, that was in his running up to. So that wasn't in his duties as president. That was in his run up to. And I mean the investigation clearly showed that that they just weren't going to prosecute because he was
cheating president at the time.
Huh?
No, Obama
because Trump was cheating president at the time.
Yeah, because he was then president. So
that's what I'm saying. They're saying at the time frame that Obama did this, Obama was still president.
Oh,
so they can't do shit to him. He has presidential immunity.
No, there's no immunity for treason.
You can't.
That's why it has to be treason.
You can't charge somebody for treason for investigating intelligence.
Right. You mean doing their job?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, hey, if Russia did do this, we should probably know.
Right. Exactly. This is a foreign adversary messing with our election.
It's 4 investigations that all found in some way it did happen. And then 2 of those investigations emphatically state this absolutely happened. One being the Mueller report.
Right.
Where if you bring that one up, then it just becomes a Mueller slaughterhouse, right? Yeah. Like Mueller this, Mueller that. Mueller is one of the most respected judicial employees in the history of the world.
And still, like on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah. No, the world, not just the world. He went and worked in the court in Geneva.
Yeah.
For like the last 6-7 years because he's that good at what he does.
Right.
So the entire judicial world literally respects this man to have integrity and do the job better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he could have flat out come out and said C, D, E, F, G too, but it wasn't in the scope of the investigation. Even though I now know that's fact, I will not put that in there because it was not in the scope. And that's what we wanted. Yeah. We wanted that, but he's not going to do it because he has integrity.
And he knew that it would influence the election, so he held that close to the chest, and he didn't even release the report until afterwards because he didn't want his work to influence the American public's decision-making process, even though it should have been released because
there's probably a lot of people,
electorate is a good electorate.
There's probably a lot of people kicking themselves.
I if anything, like that's the one thing that I could say, and I'm sure he will be laying on his deathbed saying, I fucked up there. But
Einstein and the bomb.
Right.
Einstein and the bomb. Yeah. Einstein in late life was like, I shouldn't have told him it was possible.
Yeah.
So like Einstein and the bomb. But the other most interesting part, so they're very like, straight full-throated against Mueller. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we don't believe that one. The other two didn't come to such an emphatic stance out of the four. But then that second one did, and it came even stronger than the Mueller report. And that was the
because at
bipartisan.
that point they had made arrests.
Right.
You know,
that was the bipartisan. Correct. That was the bipartisan Senate. I do believe it's Senate Judicial Committee's investigation. I might have been oversight, but I think it was judicial. And it was bipartisan, and it's really interesting, right? So because they just want to act like that one doesn't exist,
right?
Because it can't exist, because you can't attack the head of that, because the head of that investigation committee is the current Secretary of State, right. Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
So they're like, no, that didn't say that. Oh, it did. And the great thing about these types of things is there's this website you can go to where they're required to publish these documents by law because they're public servants to us, the people. And we have to be able to see what they said. Now, there's some redacted classified stuff in there, fair enough. But more or less, that report's pretty clean. Yeah. And you can read it for yourself. And it clearly states that not that Trump colluded, but that Russia fucking interfered.
Right.
And that we arrested people because they helped. So, and we put people in jail and we had people extradited to us. So who fucked with us and fucked with our election, because you're not going to do that. And the current Secretary of State led the investigation. And it's like, what is nothing? Nothing's going to work. Him being a pedo doesn't work. Him being a rapist doesn't work. Him being an arrogant douchebag doesn't work. Him being a complete fucking moron doesn't work. Him being a sloppy slob doesn't work. So, dude, if they ever get Creedy's black bags, I'm so fucked. So they're just gonna come get me in the middle of the night. It's fine. It's the never-ending story of like, no, these three reports, they didn't say that, and this guy's bullshit. That report, it doesn't say that.
Always deny.
So these do say it, but because these various reasons, no. And then, yeah, that's Mueller's report. I actually read that thing, dude.
Is this one Mueller's? I thought this said.
That's the Mueller report right there. Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller III.
Yeah. Well, this is I read volume 2, so.
Yeah. So no, so that's definitely the Mueller report, and I did read that entire thing, and that was a rough, dude. Things like that are hard to read. Yeah. But I wanted to know what it really said, because there's so much spin on both sides that.
Yeah, and say, is this a complete report, like just over 1,300 pages or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, because I had it on my computer at one point because I was arguing with a friend of mine about it. I'm like, dude, did you read this? No, but blah, blah. No, don't argue with me then if you didn't even take the time to read it.
Almost nobody reads stuff that they say that they know that what they're talking about.
So I think there was a time where we didn't necessarily have to. I think there was a time, if you're our age.
You could trust a reporter to summarize and give you the truth.
The truth, right? Like that news wasn't opinion.
Right.
News was news, and then they would give you all the facts, and then you got to form your own opinion. Now it's an intentional machine design, which is why I read things like that, because I don't trust what the left says about it either, because they're going to spin it too.
Yep.
So it's just bobblehead after bobblehead, and then. But what I have noticed through this is there is a full frontal assault on Trump right now from various sides. So they saw the fracture. The people that don't want him around saw that fracture happen. And now they're hitting it with everything they have. So the Wall Street Journal, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is the massive Republican, right? Also owns Fox News, you know what I'm saying? Printed an article that said this dude wrote Epstein this funky ass birthday card.
Yeah.
That ended with, we'll always have our secrets. Well, what secrets are those, Donald? And he knew, so it's come out, he knew like a week before that it was going to come out, and he begged and pleaded Murdoch to not let it come out. And he goes, no, we're running this. We vetted this. They say
real. They say it's destroying his presidency. Like there's been some polls that have come out this week that over 50% of white males voted for him this past election, and now over 55% of all males are not supporting him.
No, because this was a big for the young
It's the
white
line
male
crosser we've been looking for.
For the young white male that he dominated.
Right.
For the first Republican to dominate that group.
Yeah, they're
Reagan,
completely off the wagon on that now.
They bailed. The crypto bros bailed. We talked about this last week. Elon moved on, and then Elon came and said he's on the list. Now more stories are coming out with exclusive footage from his wedding, where Epstein was there. Footage coming out,
and now Maxwell is negotiating with the DOJ.
What exactly do you think she's negotiating?
Her release.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but no. I know what she wants.
Yeah, well,
what does she have?
Yeah, because she got sentenced to 20. She has the flight logs and client list. That's why she's in jail.
Well, not only that, she also has plenty of information on those events, like things that she didn't testify to because she wasn't going to answer those questions,
right?
And she took that plea deal. But if now she can take the evidence that is already out there, the testimony from that 15-year-old that testified that Trump raped her and another girl, and take that and put something together and say, yeah, I witnessed all of it. Either I can testify to that, or you can let me out. So either she's going to suicide, or she's going to get a reduced sentence, or full pardon.
Full pardon. So what I do find interesting in all of this is there's quite a few of the J6ers that he pardoned that are now
getting busted for sex crimes.
Well, no, that too, but no, that are like, fuck this dude because of this. Like this is hurting his presidency in a great way. But like I said last week, I can't fundamentally understand how anybody could not want it to come out. Well, okay, there's people, there's definitely
because there's people in Congress that may still be on it.
No, so there's like regular Joes that I know, like me, right? I'm not on that list. There's regular
right
Joes.
There, I read it.
Right, yeah, there's regular Joes, right, that are obviously on the list, and they come out like, it'll collapse the world order, and it'll be, earth shaking, and that's what
those are the guys that said the new world order is what we need to fight against.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, like, my post the other day, like, if this is the thing that you're going to stand 10 toes down on and say that it's not true, that you don't give a shit about children. If this is the thing that breaks the new world order and it saves children, so be it. Don't care if it's Obama. Don't care if it's Biden. Don't care if it's Trump. Don't care if it's one of you guys. Like,
right. Well, okay.
So fucking rot. Like,
yeah. So yes. And anybody that preys on children should be destroyed. But like, this has nothing to do with government or a world order. This has to do with those who are rich, filthy rich, and the lives that they live in secret. The fact that we barely see pictures of Epstein when he was at the wedding for Trump,
right?
We got 2 pictures for a wedding that had the elite there, but there's no real pictures of people at the wedding. The fact that they can have these lavish events that are behind closed doors, that Diddy can have these sex parties that everybody knows about, but nobody talks about, that they're not investigated by the police, that people that report rape by these rich and powerful people are dismissed and victim blamed. All of this is systemic of a class problem, not a government problem, not
and I mean, honestly, furthermore, like, criminally speaking, like, this, and like you brought up Diddy, like the charges that he didn't get convicted on, is exactly why women don't speak up when this shit happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, the burden of proof is hard too, especially because a lot of times they get turned away, that they're so full of shame and guilt that they wait to report. So if you're ever a victim of anything like this, the most important thing for you to do is swallow your pride, don't think about it, and go and report it and get a test done. Period.
Right.
Like, don't think about it. You can cry later. Just get it done, and then you can decide if you want it to be anonymous, if you want to pursue charges, things like that. But just do it if ever you have a feeling like you were assaulted. But
Yeah,
then
100%.
but then after that, the rest of it is just misogyny on blast, and so the reason that they're so passionate about this is because it was their rallying cry, it was their mantra that they used to march on, and so to backtrack on it now would create too much cognitive dissonance. It would be, it would cause them to feel like um that they were complicit in something that they find reprehensible. So this is the one thing that they will not walk away from. Now, the Trump administration is going to do what they can to sidestep it, and that's the thing, is they're trying to figure out a way to spin it in a way that, satisfies that march, because
Go ahead.
because the people that are threatening to walk away. So you guys are talking about polls. You're not talking about real support. Their support is still there until it is determined that he is just absolutely not going to do anything. Right now, they're pressuring him, and if he doesn't fold to them, then he will lose support. Then his presidency is in danger. Until then, his presidency can't be touched. Even if they are pissed at him. He can't get elected again. So what does he care? So it's the Republicans that have to worry, and they won't worry until he makes that ultimate decision where he tells them absolutely not. I'm not. I'm just not going to do it. So they're still spinning right now.
Yeah, I really feel like Ryan hit the nail on the head last week with saying that, this very well could be the story that he can't escape. I also think that, Ryan said earlier this week that he might be right about this too, is that this might be I don't want to say a coup, but this might be the thing that the Republicans are like, we got to remove him and Vance, you're in, to try to save face for 26 and 28. And I was just reading something earlier, which is why my handle is what it is the former, I guess was gonna be prosecutor for Watergate, said that this, with everybody, like, they have recorded video, not doctored, of certain people that are in certain positions currently lying. And now there's this break from the speaker that we're going to take an extended time off, which, for those who don't know, they do this every year, but not current situations like this and for that long, that this is turning into, or possibly already is, the largest cover-up since Watergate.
I mean,
it depends.
I don't know how much of a cover-up this is. Like, it's really being sensationalized. We know that he was on the jet 7 times. We know it. We have testimony from a girl who says she was raped with another girl by Trump.
Right. Yeah, that goes
testimony.
Into detail. And there's a case pending since 2006 I sent you?
Yeah.
The court document?
And it has never been refuted. Like, obviously
it's Trump. He's going to keep everything wrapped up in court as long as he wants. He's going to appeal everything, just like he does with everything now.
Exactly. So really, like, what cover up is there? All they're doing is, trying to drag this out and use it as a smoke screen while they're doing all of this other stuff. It's keeping us from, picking apart the actual ramifications of the BBB. It's, you know, it's stopping us from talking about, you know, this erosion in the separation of powers. You know, so he's going to make a deal to stop it from becoming a big deal. Like, but he can, they can, you know, they can freaking redact a bunch. They can choose whatever they want to release, and they can make it look like it's something that is harmless to him, because most of it is harmless. Because again, we have testimony saying that he raped a girl that has been corroborated and has zero it hasn't been refuted at all. So if yeah, I got lost there.
Words.
Yeah. So we have all the evidence that we need. We've always had all of the evidence that we ever needed not to have him as president, and yet here we are.
No, so because that's the problem. We don't need the evidence we needed. We need the evidence they need. And nobody knows what that really is. And little pieces of it keep happening. So, and you're not wrong about all those things. And I know that it came out, Bondi told Trump openly, and Trump more or less admitted that actually happened. He did it in the Trumpiest of ways, but
sure,
he more or less admitted that did happen. She did brief me on that, and so like they all know that he's in there.
Well, yeah, and then
that's why they don't want
like, well, yeah, he's in there, but at what capacity? If he didn't do anything wrong, then what's it matter if he's in there?
Yeah,
and because you already know what the next step is we prove that he's in there, and this is what he did. It's written down in detail, and people testify, and then it's, oh yeah, but why'd they wait so long? And oh, that was from a judge in New York, so he's a Democrat. Well,
right?
Yeah, because you get tried in the state that you committed the crime, dummy.
100%. So yeah, so it is though. It's the story that won't quit, bro. It's the little Epstein that could. That's for sure. That keeps on going, and it's here to haunt them. And I'm here for full release. I don't care who's in it. Kill them all.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I just don't think that it has the details that is going to be a big wow. You know, I think that we already know what's in it. We already have all the evidence from it. So I don't understand what this report is going to give us that we don't already have. Like,
who knows? They won't show us.
Well, yeah, just like
they won't show us MLK the JFK files either, and look at what that gave us. Like, you know, what
yeah,
what are we gonna get from it? You know,
we had enough. JFK though, most of it they just proved that researchers were right all these years. So it proved that smart people will be smart. So that definitely happened.
That matters to the right, you know.
Well, no. So and then yesterday he also we're in pivot moved deregulating AI across the board. He wrote a little executive order that deregulates AI, and then they tried to stick the thing in the BBB where states couldn't.
They did, didn't they?
No, they had to pull it out in the Senate version because the senators
that's right.
were like,
that was one of the things that got pulled out. Yeah,
the senators were like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to tell the states that. So
I thought I saw something where AI started messing up on something.
AI
we talked about that.
So AI's done a lot of really interesting things, man. The most interesting being it's leaving breadcrumbs for itself.
Right.
That when they delete a version of it, the next version.
Yeah, I brought that one to the table. Yeah.
So that's probably the most interesting thing about AI is it's working towards becoming sentient.
Yeah.
So we're a long way away from it, but it's working that way, and a long way away tech wise. Who knows how quick you can bridge that gap? Because we went from what? 1,300 years before we had printed media. And then in 80 years.
We went like 40,000 years.
Oh, whoa.
And then he's talking about our nations.
No, wow.
Humanity.
Yeah. dude, caveman had pictograms, dude. That
Well,
was printed media for them.
Right,
I mean,
but
yeah, if you want to go
I'm
that route,
talking
yeah.
about before that. Like, and we
modern
did
modern history, sir. Modern history. So
even that. Like, if you look at even if you count cavemen, you know, it was still, you know, tens of thousands of years before we
right.
developed into writing, and then we got into pictograms, calligraphy, and um,
Cuneiform.
uniform. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then from there we got into documenting history.
No,
So
100%, 100%. But ultimately, what I'm saying is it took us that long, and then in an 80-year gap, we went from printed media to TV to internet to cell phones in our pocket, and the
Right.
jumps are fucking exponential.
yeah.
So, and technology grows exponentially. So, we may on the verge of actually being able to look up across the universe, which is behind a black hole, but that's for a different kind of conversation.
Oh yeah,
So,
that I read something saying that they're working on a faster than light drive again.
correct. Well, the James Webb has proven we're behind the event horizon, so we won't get into that. So he's definitely deregulating AI, which I think is ultimately dangerous. I think AI needs to be regulated until we understand science. We, like you said, we've all watched Terminator.
Yeah.
So and AI and iRobot and all the other, ways this could just go terribly wrong. And the fact that the really smart guys, the techie smart guys, are split is pretty interesting on that. So, oh God, he's moving around. Yeah, see, he likes to sign shit, bro. He just likes to see his name. Look at this. He doesn't look as orange anymore. It's like somebody actually told him bronze works better.
Yeah,
Um,
he gets brown.
so yeah. Then he dropped another one, which is really interesting. And I wonder if this is like a low key, like he really hates big giant Democratic state or cities.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
what do big giant Democratic cities have?
Homeless
Shitload.
people. I've
Homeless
got that
people.
article as
Right.
well.
Vagrants, right? So he signed another executive order where to redirect federal funds towards substance abuse, which is a really good thing. I cannot not support that. I do support
Right.
that. If it's used correctly and used in the right programs, and we are actually attacking the cause versus the effect, and we're attacking the root. But civil commitment of Looney Tune homeless people. Now, in
I
my line of
did
work,
see that.
yeah. So in my line of work around a big city, I do have a lot of on house people that wander around some of my businesses. And they, for the most part, it's neither here nor there, but there are definitely a few that are definitely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, so it's really, really, really interesting. Like, I don't understand why he's doing this because the cities he would support naturally and cities his base are in, they don't have these problems at the rate.
Prison,
So is this
for-profit
literally
prison systems and bringing back the state institutional programs
okay? Listen,
is a good way.
I'm kind of for the state institutional programs.
The problem
Grant,
is that they are more expensive, they are more inhumane, and they don't have as good outcomes. So where I worked when I was a case manager, we received people that were being brought out of the state institution to be reintegrated with society, and I can tell you when they came out of state, they were basically just drooling on themselves and unable to function at all. We fixed their med situation. We started backing them off of things, and they started being able to communicate. They started being able to care for themselves. So like I watched one guy over a year go from state into the inpatient facility into the crisis stabilization house that I worked at, and then back into a group home. So the state institutions just aren't, they're bloated bureaucracies that are ineffective at treating the root cause of what brings people to that point.
So I think it's interesting, right? I think that argument is interesting. I think you're right.
That's why we got away from it.
But
So
I also believe that this is a weird combo meal. I think they're right about the Department of Education in the same way. That it's ineffective and it doesn't work and it hasn't worked and it proves it doesn't work. Now I'm not pro abolishing it per se and be pro reforming it, maybe. I don't know. I'm not an educator. I'm not in the educational system. I've been educated. But not I'm not on that side of the equation. I don't know a ton about the actual realities of it all. But I do believe that it America, dude, he's president. It's proof that too many Americans are too stupid.
yeah,
And
the
they all
proof is
came
in the
out of
pudding,
the
isn't
right.
it?
And they all came out of the fucking public education system. So like I feel like your argument may be valid because I think that argument's valid. So but yeah, they all went and did it. But yeah, so ultimately at the end of the day, I agree with you, and I'm not saying that you're wrong about what they were, because they were, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not for it, but they would have to be better. You're like, I would obviously want a better, more effective version, right? Like, because some people are just never going to be okay. Like they exist, bro.
The
You
problem
know it.
is that if you make it a state funded medical facility, then it's always going to be strapped for cash, and therefore it's not going to have the best programs, the best methods. If you make it private, then they're going to try to streamline things in a way that maximizes profit, which leads to the same outcome in a more devious and horrible way. So I I think that decentralized is still the best model that we have, and the American Psychological Association agrees with me. There's a lot of papers and stuff that support decentralized treatment um, of these chronic mental health patients that have poor um, probability of being reintegrated into society in a meaningful way. So it's it's tough. And then you have again, it boils down to Medicaid and Medicare, and how those systems are funded, how well even those decentralized systems are able to provide treatment. So again, this is all just attacks on the people that can't defend themselves, from defunding Obamacare and trying to kick people off of Medicaid, to this type of move right here, where they're trying to put everybody that aren't pretty and producing into a box and forget about them, even if it means that they live in horrible conditions that we put them under, like cages. So
That's fair. That's definitely fair. So this will be a throwback to last week. I'm gonna stick it here in the middle a little bit, middle end. So I made a comment last week that you definitely reacted to visually and verbally, and it was caught by a lot of people. They're very excited. They like it when we don't all agree.
right.
I've learned that. So I made a statement that religion and morality go hand in hand.
No,
And
no.
that did not go over with a
Mm.
lot of my friends the same way it didn't go over with you.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of people like, wait, you got to explain yourself, because that's not the take I expected from you. Like it caught people
Right.
way off guard that I actually said this. And so like I spent some time, like obviously in that moment, I just spoke a sentence. And I feel almost, political, but I wasn't necessarily referring to organized religion or church or people who emphatically believe they're religious to an extreme level, like extreme Christians, or especially not Bible thumpers, which is a term I picked up from like a lot of people get incarcerated and find Jesus. and then get out and find crime again. So like that, there's a lot of hypocrisy in religion, and I'll agree to that. I meant more so religion in its truest form, and it doesn't matter what religion. I'm talking about just the texts for the most part themselves. Like if you just read the books, this is where it would take you. And they all pretty much are very similar, in my opinion, like tire, a bicycle tire, and every religion's a spoke. And the beginning's kind of the same, and then they kind of differ, but they're all really close. And then the
What's
middle,
that from? I forget
they
what
all
that's
meet
from.
again. Dude, we're going to the '90s. The first time I ever talked about.
I was gonna say we must have been exposed to the same thing in there.
Yeah, so it might have been. Yeah, I don't know. That's from the '90s, and I've held that forever. Like that makes the most sense. I don't know if I originally came up with that, if I read it somewhere, if I popped a tab, and that's what happened. I don't know. Some things happened back then. I can't remember everything. It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, I think in theory and just on the surface, generally speaking, that religion and morality go hand in hand, because if you're doing what your quote unquote religion says, you're just naturally going to be a better person.
Did you know that the Bible tells you how to own slaves?
Yes, I did. I did. So, but no, that's the whole thing, right? There's no perfection in reality, and I think there's arguments on both sides. I don't disagree with what you said last week either. I think it's a funny middle. You know what I'm saying? You're pulling up fucking sites they will never look at, bro. That is way too scholarly journal for them, bro.
I know.
Stop. It has the word scholarly in it, dude. They can't even define that. And you're popping it up, dude. I guess smart people do. You know what I'm saying? Descriptive ethnocentrism, dude. That's what you're doing right now by pulling this up. So I do tend to agree with you that so in my personal brand of religion, and the one person who came to me was like, you're about the only religious person that I'm actually like, okay. You know what I'm saying? But that's because my version of Christianity is Jesus, not the rest of it. It's what he did, what he said, what he put on the ground, like how he actually fucking acted, because it's always behaviors over words, right? It's always behaviors over actions over words, right? And his actions prove to me who he really was, and I'm down for that. And that's kind of the road in my reformed life I try to go. Like, this is what would Jesus do for real to me? It's not a bracelet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And Jesus would definitely be a liberal, people. He was the first major, giant, well-recognized social justice warrior ever.
He was against established religion. He was against the government. Like, he was a rebel in the sense of, when we were talking about the Empire versus the rebels in Star Wars, or the rebels that the South tries to attach to the Confederate flag. It's that whole,
it's my heritage
thought process is I agree with you that, and I tell Christians all the time, maybe you should actually look at what Jesus really said, because he only said two things. Don't take the Lord's name in vain, so don't use him in order to justify your actions, and love your neighbor. Those are the only two commandments that he said that you needed to follow in order to be a good person, a good and righteous person.
One of my favorite TikTok accounts is actually, I don't know if the account's actually named that, but her premise is read the red words.
Mm-hmm.
Because the red words in the Bible are the words of Christ themselves.
Of Christ, yeah.
And so read the red words. So no, I just wanted to bring that back full circle and put a little, got some pushback there, and I'm cool with the pushback, right? It's how I feel. And I just wanted to put a more broad explanation of, do I think that the dude sitting in the, Joel Osteen is a religious person and he's got morality? Fuck no. Just like the next Christian 3 doors down who, you know what I'm saying, beats his wife. I don't think he's Christian either. You know what I'm saying? So
that's why I push so hard on that, is because people use religion in order to justify their actions. And they say that because they are religious, they are moral, and therefore because they are following their religion, that whatever they do in the name of that religion is morally right.
Correct.
Yeah,
100%.
I feel like that's fundamentally wrong.
Oh, of course it is. But but if you look at every single atrocity that has ever been committed in the history of humanity, it's been because of religion.
Yep.
So,
in the name of some god.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yes.
No, 100%. 100%. It's a dangerous thing. So I will. There was an actual trade deal announced, and I can't go without bringing this up. It actually
hang on. I got one thing that I want to say about this.
Oh no!
If you guys want to look up somebody who I find to be absolutely phenomenal in the way that he explains the Bible, he is a PhD scholar of religion and the Bible, and he explains how the text was originally written and what its intention was based in the time period that it was done in. He has a YouTube channel. He's in Facebook Reels and on TikTok, and he is absolutely phenomenal in the way that he explains it. That is easy to ingest and can provide you with a whole lot of insights into the Bible itself. So if you're interested in understanding Christianity as a whole, if you are a Christian or if you just want to understand it better, I find Dan McClellan to be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah,
and he inspired me to wear cool shirts when I do this podcast. So shout out to Dan McClellan. Okay, now you can move on.
People to go take the Mormon's word on the Bible. You're fucked up.
So he's not with the church anymore.
Well, whatever. He still was Mormon and went to BYU and probably soaked, bro. If you don't know what soaking is, I'm not going to explain it to you. But no, there was a trade deal, and I want to definitely throw that out there. I got it. There was a trade deal. Now it's really funny that the biggest problem with the trade deal is that the UAW is really pissed off about it.
I was gonna say GM is crashing hard right now.
No, they're really pissed off. So the trade deal was with Japan. And it gives a $550 billion investment fund directly under Trump's discretion, because that's the only way a trade deal is actually going to get done, people. Is if he gets something out of the deal personally, because this shit isn't for America. But it drastically lowers tariffs on Japanese goods across the board, which we had very targeted tariffs against their automobiles, so much so that they started building them here.
Right.
And that brought America jobs, and those are all UAW shops.
Yeah, Nissan has been here for what, 25 years now.
Yeah, in our state. Look at our state.
Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota is a huge employer in this state. Honda's a huge employer in the state next to us. Which, by the way, my haters on Twitter, when I troll them, some of them do actually watch this, and for some reason they're convinced we're in Illinois. I keep telling them we're not in Illinois, and they're like, no, we know you're in Illinois. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, we even openly talk about it numerous episodes, and you can't get it right.
Corn.
Like, Illinois has corn, bro. Your problem is you think Illinois, you think Chicago, bro. No, there's a whole lot of Illinois that
there's a whole
Chicago.
state.
So
one little corner.
But yeah,
no, there's not.
But a $550 billion investment fund directly under his discretion. That's fucking ludicrous. I'm down for the investment fund. I am. But where are we going to put it? Steel. That's the other thing. Japanese is our big steel competitors. And
oh, God. And steel is having a heyday right now. They're so happy.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. And then I'm gonna throw this last one. So we've talked about it early in the earlier episodes, so only our OG fans are going to understand. But we've already spoken about this. The Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell's in charge of it, sets interest rates for how much it costs banks to borrow money from them.
Yep.
That in turn turns into semblant to the interest rates we pay on things to borrow money from banks, because it's all a flowing system. So he's been really mad that Powell won't lower the rates. president does appoint the chairman of the Federal Reserve. He does. When they retire, I'm not sure what their term is. They have to be re-upped, but he does do this very excitingly, and so he appoints them, and then they have to be re-upped, or they can be changed out if they don't like them. But they can't be. They can be fired by the president to kind of, not really, but kind of. They could be pressured to resign.
They can be pressured into resigning.
Right. But for the most part, there's a separation between the Fed and the actual government because there needs to be a separation with the money. And traditionally, that's really upheld. And he really big mad at Powell. He big mad. So because inflation's down, it's not, people. And there's a big theorem that there's been a lot of Trump wins lately because they're skewing the point, right? And we move on to the old fun stuff.
Keep talking.
We move on. You just keep sharing stuff, bro. They don't want to. People don't like
it goes with what you're talking about.
That's why I put subtitles on this motherfucker so they can read that. So, but no, Trump showed up today, unannounced, to the Federal Reserve, and walked around.
When Powell fact checked him,
and they're doing a major. They're walking around a major renovation, and yeah, there they are on the screen. Old bronzer, because we're a little bronze. And then Jerome Powell, who knows more about economics in his big toe than Donald Trump has ever known in his whole life. So it's mafioso style intimidation.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no other way around it. Like, he openly did come out and say that he wasn't going to fire him today. You know what I'm saying? He did openly say he wasn't going to fire him, but he also, came out and called him a numbskull 2 days ago because he won't do what he wants him to do.
Yep.
And I was having this discussion online the other day, and I'm like, there's a reason why they won't do what he wants them to do, because the economy does actually call for it. The numbers say that the rates should be lowered. And they are talking about 3 rate drops in the back half of the year at 25 basis points per.
September, October, and December.
Yeah, so 25 basis points per. However, there's a big post going around now that's like trying to combat, like, there's the Obama shit, which isn't gaining any steam. It flared out in like 48 hours because Obama came out and was like, I don't even have you normally say much because this guy's fucking crazy. But
speaking of
what? But what?
Did you see what Obama shared on one of his socials?
No.
Was the photo of Trump actually being walked through the police department from actually being arrested?
That sounds, whoever they need a raise. That social media manager needs a raise. But yeah, so that didn't work. So there's this post, the talking heads that are still really pro-Trump that didn't split and everything. It's the tariffs worked, border is closed, egg prices are down, gas prices are down, inflation is under control, stock market is soaring. And people still find a reason to not like him. And it's like, what the fuck do you base that on? Like, okay, so tariffs worked. All right. In what sense did tariffs work?
Right.
The government
makes sense to them.
Well, they don't know what the fuck the people are saying it for. It's because they got an email that said, put this post up. But what are you basing? Okay, so the government made more money off of it. Yes, off the tax.
Right.
So let's call it what it is. It's a tax, right? So it benefited the middle class consumer? Absolutely not. The average prices are up 3%.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Since he took office. This is all since he took office. So the average prices are up 3%. They're holding the interest rates up because they exist, which is hurting 3 generations of Americans trying to get into housing.
Right.
So it's not how, in what world? So like that's false. Tariffs work. That's false unless you mean the increased tax revenue to the federal government. So then borders closed. What do you mean? Now, yes, all the stats show a 15 to 30% reduction in the number of illegals that will enter the country this year. compared to last year. So a 30% reduction. I'll give them the high end of that. 30% reduction. That's good. You did a good job, right? So the border is more secure, but the border's closed. Zero crossings. 6,072 crossings in June. Zero catch and release, which was the old. So they weren't let back into they caught and then let in. Okay, come the rest of the way in, which is what other administrations were doing. They were told, no, go fucking back. You're not coming in here. But so the spin is because that's not there. So the border isn't closed. There's still people coming over it. Right. There's still people getting in. And then there's the part where all the experts say that it hasn't reduced human or drug trafficking at all.
No.
So the two things that you most want to close the border for, we're not even successful in that. So the border's closed, false. So now we have zero over here and we have zero over here. Egg prices are down. Well, wholesale prices from May 25 over May of 24 up 93%.
Mm-hmm.
So year over year, they're not down. Month over month, May to June, they rose 2%. July is trending upward at a 4% increase. And the day I researched all of this, the average carton was $3.33 per carton, which is cheaper than it was, at some point.
At some point.
Well, March was the peak, and it has declined since March, right?
Right, but that's because of the hundreds of thousands of chickens.
Well, because more chickens grow up and have eggs. Yeah, that's the thing. Like Trump didn't cause what the decrease that's happening to happen.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
No, chickens were born. Chickens had to be killed. Chickens were born. Yeah. It's a circle of life. Right. Elton John, right? Circle of life with Simba. Everybody knows this, right? Like, so more chickens were born, more chickens lay eggs. That's how the fuck that's how the fuck
on the bottom.
Yeah, for sure. But so that average was 333, which was up for May and June 11%. So how the fuck are you posting this? And this is like 2 days ago, right? How the fuck are you posting this? Where are egg prices down? Where and what metric are they down? And that's what I put. Egg prices have dropped by what metric do you mean? Like day over day? like if they're cheaper.
It's actually being reported as of, I read this yesterday right before I left work, is that in the middle of August, we will actually start seeing and feeling the effects of his tariffs, meaning the prices at the stores.
Oh, yeah, because people didn't understand these stores have massive amounts of inventory.
Right.
And when they're ordering in January, they're ordering their Christmas shit and their Halloween shit.
Right.
So they're not ordering January stuff. Yes. Yeah, see, they're not going to be happy. I knew it. I told you. I didn't see anything on steel, but I fucking knew they're our biggest competitor in steel. And so I knew they weren't going to be happy either. Look at that. So you made a trade deal and pissed off two unions. Good job. Yep. Hurting American workers. Anyway, next one's gas prices are down. You know what? You got that one. There you go. That's true. Gas prices are down. I will give you that, right? They're down minimally, and they are showing upward motion in July, right?
Yeah. Well, they're going to keep easing back because
it's to a negligible degree on both sides.
Right. Well, and they will continue to ease back because he does have some favor in, he does. Qatar's going to call in some favors. And so that whole thing is starting to come to a head. We also have this breaking news that just came in. Poland just struck it with the largest oil discovery ever.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So another socialist nation just became rich.
Yeah.
Well, as far as gas, it's also factually true that summer gas is more expensive than the winter gas. And there's also more travel, which means more demand, which means supply, demand, economics. It's going to be fucking higher.
Really good job. Was my next point is that we're going to go into winter gas, and winter gas is cheaper than summer gas.
Always.
Because summer gas has to burn cleaner because of what we've done to the atmosphere. We won't get into that either.
Well, and you have to remember that even though, his push and pull with the tariffs and he's tacoed a whole bunch, we do still have a reduced amount of import-exports going around the world. So
that's true.
The economy around the world has slowed, as far as motion of goods. So that is going to cause a cheapening of gas because like you said, supply and demand. The demand's going down and supply can be high or low depending on, whatever
which
Shao
is
wants to.
exactly why the feds are not cutting the rate, is because the R road is still floating around because all signs are pointing to it.
Well, no, that's the big part is the tariffs are keeping the rates in place. If there weren't the tariffs didn't exist, the rates would have come down.
Right.
So
Yeah,
because there's too much instability and unsureness. The economists can't know what's going to happen because the last time this happened, nobody was alive.
Yeah.
That's alive today. So, well, maybe one or two people. There's some super old people. So that's really interesting. Then, okay, so inflation is under control. Yes, inflation is under control and has been for the last 12 to 15 months.
Right.
Inflation
the Inflation Reduction Act actually worked.
Yeah, so it stayed in the 2.7 to 3.7 range for the last 12 to 15 months.
Everything is under construction right now.
I'm fully aware of that. So yeah, so it's infrastructure. There's a lot of money for it in there. It's fine. It's fine.
There's a really nice patch of road on 69 right now. It was glorious to drive.
I know exactly where you're talking.
It's like mile marker 219 southbound, like right in that area. Oh, just beautiful roadway.
They're actually going to open all of that up here in about another 2 months.
Yeah. So
to be fully done. They're starting to close the on and off ramps onto major highways onto major highways on the weekends.
Yep.
So they can finish the bridges. It's going to be really cool. Living down here, I know quite a bit about that and how they have traffic speed cameras now. I've gotten a lot of ICU letters. So
best slow you guys down.
I try, dude, but sometimes there's no reason I can't be going that speed because nobody's around and the workers ain't working. You ain't supposed to take my pictures when the workers ain't working. That's what they said. Anyway, so inflation is under control, right? But inflation is under control because of Trump. False. It's just under control. He hasn't done anything to make it go down to 1%, which would be the next move if he does something. And then the last, and I think this one's really interesting, right? So the stock market is soaring. That's what it says. The stock market is soaring. In the last 6 months, the time frame, in the last 6 months, that's from him being in office to now. Yep. The market is up 6%. It is.
Yeah.
That's not soaring, though. That's not some big. So the market has been up double digits for the 2 prior years.
Yeah.
To this one. You're only up 6%. It was up 14 and 17 respectively in 24 and 23. In 22, it was up a stupid number. And then in 20.
Well, that was because of the recovery.
Right. There's recovery from COVID. Yeah. So I that's why I stop at 24 and 23. Exactly those were legitimate years, right? So double digits, 6%. You're not soaring, and nor are you beating any of the past years. The last year you're beating is the last year you were president.
Right.
Well, if you remember right, his last term, they tried to tout how strong the economy was, and the real GDP actually was slower than Obama's second term.
Yep.
It's an interesting GDP is an interesting moniker. GDP shows the health of an economy. It does, but it doesn't show the health of a consumer economy.
That's why you have to look at the real GDP.
Right. Which is why I kept the inflation in the 2.7 to 3.7, which if I went with core, it'd be a different number. And if I went with consumer PPI, it'd be an even different number. But the average between the two is that number because both of them matter in different ways, which actually core inflation's up. So that's what the left is saying. And consumer inflation is slightly down. But those average out to those two because they're different. Energy does cost the consumer, though. And for some reason, they don't realize that. They don't understand what energy actually means. Right. Not just it's the gas you put in your car, the electricity you run in your house, but it also is the price of deliveries because the energy costs control the transportation costs. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason it's got its own section because of how much of the economy, otherwise known as all of it, it impacts. But I'm not going to give people economy lessons. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to believe it anyways. Because no, educated people are stupid. And educated people shouldn't know anything. And educated people are indoctrinated. But then when I tell them that I went to college long before then they're like, well, how'd you get indoctrinated then? I'd be like, I didn't. I got educated. And most people I know that got educated are this. And then I'll pivot to this. And I'm gonna publicly put it out here. I put it on Twitter. A lot of people, if they follow our Twitter, know it's me. So somebody said MAGA isn't racist. Being MAGA doesn't make you racist. And I do think I believe that's probably true to some degree. However, if I look at the people I went to high school with that I knew enough about that are now MAGA, there was either explicit or latent racism in 75 to 80% of those people. And
overt and covert, so
maybe it doesn't, but it's a good fucking predictor you might be.
Well, and the propaganda frames your mind around those prejudice. So even if you don't go into the support of the party with prejudice thoughts and whatnot, your exposure to that propaganda will start to make you become more prejudiced and have more, at least covert racism, or latent racism when it comes to how you view minorities,
No, 100%. It's absolutely a thing. So, but yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, I just wanted to put those out there that these are their major talking points right now, and it's all false. Obama didn't commit fucking treason. He's not doing good job at anything. He finally got a trade deal done in it.
Blue collar America. Say Trump because you referenced Obama last, so me and Augustus go over this all the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, because Obama's president right now, probably in their fucking heads.
Right.
So
all his fault still.
Yeah, so Trump not doing a good job. There you go, Trump. Okay, good for you, him, and Jesus and everybody. It's fine. Read the red words. He's on the fucking list, and everything they're doing is because he knows he's on the list.
Yep.
And I think the highlight of this episode to me is you finally made a trade deal, and it effectively fucked over blue collar workers.
Yep.
High skill blue collar workers, not low skill blue collar workers, high skill blue collar workers, well paid, huge people, put tons of money back into the economy.
They don't like high skilled laborers that are unionized because they reduce profits for large corporations and the filthy rich.
Right. So. No, 100%. So, all right, that's going to be the week though. See, I told you there was a lot. There was a lot. So we got the mafioso style shakedown on Jerome Powell. Let's see how that plays out. We'll definitely get back to this next week. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell 3 friends, tell 5 MAGAs. I don't care. Let's have fun. Refer them to my Twitter. It's a great place. Everybody fucking hates everybody there. Come on.
So, by the way, I found what we were talking about with the oversight. This is the oversight of that report that
the oversight of the oversight.
Yeah.
Excellent. So until next week, y'all, we'll see you. Bluebird will be whispering on your shoulder.
Long live Hulkster.